On the battlefields of Ukraine, you won't just find local soldiers,
Slava Ukraini!
but volunteers from all over the world.
Panama, Portugal, America.
Ukrainian officials say 20,000 international volunteers have travelled to help fight back against the Russian invasion. Many of them came from Britain.
They needed help, so that's why I got up and went.
I've got a purpose in life out there.
You didn't have any military experience previously?
100% civilian.
From those who'd never held a weapon to experienced soldiers, British volunteers are fighting and dying alongside the people of Ukraine.
I didn't find out till the day before he was going.
A lot of people are like, why are you here and why are you doing this?
Is there a kind of war tourism?
As I track down the people who didn't have to be in this war, we find stories of bravery.
Get me a chest seal, open the bag.
And friendship.
Everyone okay?
I'm proud of what I've achieved. I'm proud of the guys that we were out there with.
Of a search for adventure. And of sacrifice.
I wish we could have kept him here.
We're on our way to the Ukrainian border to meet up with a medical team that are helping evacuate an injured British fighter. But their ambulance has broken down and they've had to get another one. So fingers crossed, they'll make it out.
Thousands of volunteers have made this journey into the conflict, and I'm on a mission to find out what they've been up to.
Nice to see you, and I'm off.
Sharif from Bristol travelled to Ukraine a few weeks after the invasion.
I shall catch you guys as soon as I get back.
British volunteers who are ex-military are seen as bringing valuable knowledge and experience.
Another successful day of training with our team.
And with his 9 years in the British Army, Sharif helped teach ordinary Ukrainian civilians medical and weapon skills before joining a military unit himself on the front lines.
Some big stuff's coming up in the next few days. So I'm just making a video to say hi. And I love everyone.
But not long after he recorded this message, his unit came under attack and Sharif was badly injured.
Had a tough night because the anaesthesiologist wasn't in. So yeah, that's my life at the moment.
I've been in touch with Sharif while he spent weeks recovering in a military hospital in the heavily bombarded city of Odessa.
So hello to the doctor. Off for another operation. Wish me luck.
Now, a British charity is helping him get to the border and back to the UK. But the journey is far from straightforward.
Apparently, he doesn't have all the right military paperwork, so he might not actually be able to get out.
As a contracted soldier with the Ukrainian military, he's been told he needs permission to leave, and his document still hasn't come through. But with his health at stake, the team take the decision to just get across the border.
You made it!
Hello.
How are you doing?
How are you? What are you doing?
How are you?
Exhausted, but
I
I'm
bet,
good.
I bet. Do we get you in the warm?
That'd be amazing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Helping Sharif make the journey, Ewan and Craig are medics who are usually evacuating Ukrainian refugees. But Sharif is now the second injured British fighter they've helped return home.
Speaking to the surgeon there, the surgeon was quite clear that had he been Ukrainian, they would have just amputated.
Meeting Sharif is a stark reminder of the realities of war and the cause he chose to join.
I felt that if I did not step up to the plate, then I wouldn't be true to myself as a human being, because I had skills. And to sit at home on my laurels and just watch this war happen, where I could actually do something that could make a difference, save one life, train one person to use a rifle, teach somebody how to put a tourniquet on their leg.
But to begin with, he says, not all volunteers were welcomed.
A lot of people are like, why are you here and why are you doing this? I mean, come on, a lot of people are running away from the country. But after a while, a trust was built, because we're fighting for a cause that we chose to join. I mean, there's negativity there as well. You know, you get things like being called a tourist or whatever else.
Is there a kind of war tourism? Is there a few people like that?
There's plenty. They'll go and see a blown up building, or they'll go carry a weapon and they'll do something for a month and then they'll go home. That fizzles out after a while.
The attack, which nearly killed him, happened during an operation near the southern city of Zaporizhia.
We had been on a 4-day operation, but we pushed a little bit too far. We knew there were 3 tanks in the area. We pushed so far forward, but it was what we call a come-on, where they moved out of the way, waited for us to come in,
Right.
and then they come in and gave us everything that they had. But before we knew it, there were rounds coming down, and it was just boom, 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 boom.
He tried to shelter in a half-dug trench with a Ukrainian fighter alongside.
And every time a round would come down, I would lean to the left, he would lean to the right, and try and grab each other's helmets and get as low as we could. And it was only a matter of time. And one of the rounds just sort of landed between our legs and blew upwards. I crawled out, and then that's when the Russians opened up with small arm fire and took out my left arm.
What was going through your mind?
I was positive that I was going to die. I just thought I'm going to suffer for an hour and then die. It's not like the British Army where we've got some helicopters to come and pick us up.
Yeah.
We've got no morphine. You know, it doesn't work like that out here. It is old school Second World War stuff.
But their commander managed to get Sharif out alive.
He finally got a Cossack vehicle to drive across open ground under tank fire, picked us up and drove us away. An hour and 20 minutes, I'm still gasping for air with 2 punctured lungs and saw my hand hanging off. The right shoulder was split open. The top of the right arm was shot and the bone has been destroyed. The forearm has been blown apart, the thumb has been ripped out and the wrist has been taken apart. My stomach was torn open and put back together.
What was it like recovering in that hospital?
You're awake for these surgeries most of the time.
It's time to continue the journey.
Я не понимаю, ты сейчас снимаешь?
Sharif's Ukrainian fiancée is coming too, and there's little time to lose.
He's to be transferred to Southmead Hospital in Bristol, where surgeons are going to try and save his hand. If he stays in Ukraine, he's going to lose his hand.
Fighters aren't the only ones risking their lives in this conflict. Ewan and Craig have been travelling to some of the worst-hit areas.
We've been bringing people back across the border.
I couldn't sit at home and watch what was happening and not come out and actually take part.
How do you fund this?
A lot of personal money's gone into this, and ultimately we rely on donations.
The team have organised a medical repatriation flight back to Bristol. Despite life-changing injuries, Sharif is still holding on to a determination to return to the front lines.
I'm going back.
You still want to go back?
There is nothing else in this world that I want more than to be there with my boys.
And you nearly died.
If it means that much to you, then you're not going to start something you ain't going to finish. It's an honour.
But there'll be some road to recovery.
Well, this is the last leg of the journey, then he's nearly home.
They're bringing the aid in and they're getting us back.
You're gonna be missing him.
Of course, but I see him very soon. I hope.
Ready? Ready.
We're ready. Thank you, boys. Thank you so much. You have no idea. That's straight to the hospital for me, so not a lot of Bristol I'll be seeing it for a while.
After 9 months in the conflict, he's back on British soil. His story of survival has caught the attention of the newspapers, who've given him the nickname Rambo. The call for volunteers to enlist in the Ukrainian military came from the president himself at the start of the invasion. To the citizens of the world, he said, come and fight side by side with Ukraine in what he called the beginning of a war against Europe. I can understand why Ukraine's been welcoming volunteers who have combat experience to help take on the Russian army. But what about those who don't?
They're my plates. I'm taking them back anyway.
Oh, straight forward.
They're mine. That's what he brought for me.
These guys are getting together for the first time since being on the front lines. and they've agreed to share a few war stories with me from months in the trenches.
Why did you go?
So I seen what was going on in the news. I thought, yeah, they're firing on civilians here. Like, this is just like terrorists, what they're doing.
You didn't have any military experience previously?
100% civilian.
Yeah, no military experience.
I tried to join the military when I was younger, but I couldn't get in. Like, I put all my heart and soul into joining.
Seen a Facebook advertisement. It was all in Ukrainian, but I translated it. If you know how to handle a gun, contact us. So I gave them a ring and just told them that I'd been in the... I had like cadet experience. I know it's nothing much, but they said, we'll give you a month's training and we'll send you out in the front line. You'll be fighting in the Kharkiv district.
After travelling across Ukraine, they joined a battalion with other British and international volunteers fighting in the east.
Oh, damn, we just got to this new place.
They met James, aged 21, who'd quit the British Army to go.
They needed help, so I knew I can fight. That's what I was trained to do, so that's why I got up and went.
And Tim, who'd spent time in Afghanistan.
This is where we sleep. Our ammunition store.
And they began filming their experiences along the way.
It was there's your rifle, there's your, at the time, volunteer contract. Here's where you're going. All we knew was dig a hole, watch.
Did you feel you were up to it?
I'll admit I was like, okay, what have I got myself into here? But yeah, it felt natural.
As they learnt to become soldiers, it was eye-opening even for those with experience.
In the British Army, I've never come under tank fire. You know, that's just not something that happens in the British Army. We have the tanks, we have the helicopters, we have the fast air and things like that. Here, it's all against you.
And it wasn't long before they were involved in intense fighting.
Let's go.
They want to get that first firefight over. You watch videos of firefights. Then when you're there, and the rounds do go down, for me, my training kicked in.
The first time I ever experienced combat was I was in school. We got hit by multiple missiles, and the intel, we got 5 tanks approaching, and we all ran out. And I remember just there was a mud hill, and I remember just looking up, and as I looked up, a tank round came straight through the bushes, straight for me. You heard on the radio, 1 tank destroyed, 2 tank destroyed, 3 tank destroyed. That split second, I didn't think I was even coming out of that situation. I didn't think, I thought, yeah, I'm going to get killed here right now.
It was James's first experience of many coming under fire from Russian tanks.
Whoa!
This round missing him by inches.
Everyone okay? It's landed right next to me. I can't hear nothing. I can't hear a thing.
As the Ukrainian front lines pushed forward, the group were involved in many operations to recapture ground, often encountering abandoned Russian positions along the way.
So the Russians was here yesterday. The Ukrainian military, myself and my team stormed it, pushed the Russians out. Civilians are happy.
And much of the fighting involved old-school trench warfare.
We were 600 metres from Russians at all times. It was literally our tree line, their tree line, and a field in between. And on night time, sound travels further. You could hear them talking.
And life in the trenches was a constant game of cat and mouse with the enemy.
So we went on this attack on Independence Day. The whole of the Ukrainian front line pushed forward. I remember just going up the back of the tree line. 5 prisoners just there.
What do we got here? A couple of Russian prisoners.
How does that work?
I surrender.
We're quite sad to see. They were either really young or really old. They didn't want to be there.
It was strange. It made it feel real.
Did you feel sorry for them?
Yeah, I empathised. My biggest fear out there were actually getting captured.
5 Russian prisoners surrendered.
I wanted to kill them.
Did you?
I wanted to kill them. There's a high chance they could have killed some of my very good friends. These guys who we captured. And they weren't crying then, they were probably laughing about it. They only cry when they've been caught. I'm a conscript, I never meant to do this. I got sent here.
Ukrainian authorities send blanket text messages to Russian soldiers' phones, telling them surrender and they won't be harmed.
How do you treat them?
We just hand them over to the Ukrainian authorities.
Did you speak to them?
Yeah, I said a few words to him. I said a few words in his ear. I wanted to give him something to remember.
We got to get out.
As the months go by, it's clear the risks become routine.
You kind of accept that any second, any moment, anything in this moment could be the last moment you have, or the last moment the guy next to you has, or 2 trenches down the line.
In August, a British volunteer from Norfolk joined their unit.
We were close, always close. Looked up to him. He's an older brother.
He can light up a room, he really could.
Craig McIntosh was a landscape gardener.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
He was funny. He'd always do some crazy thing to make us laugh. We was really close growing up. He always wanted to go in the army ever since he was little. He'd have all his toy soldiers. He always played with them.
But when he travelled to Ukraine, his family had little warning.
I didn't find out till the day before he was going. He said not to stress or worry. And yeah, that's the first I knew about it.
What was your reaction?
I was gutted.
Did you ever try and talk him out of it?
All the time. Even on the way to the airport, like, just, yeah, anything to get him to come home, but he had his heart set on it.
Initially I was very angry. It didn't make sense to me. I thought at first, well, why would you do that? Why would you leave everyone and not tell anyone? And then I thought, wow, like what a courageous thing to do.
What I remember about Craig, we called him Pikey, his call sign were Pikey. He loved it. He'd found his place there, you know, he were happy.
But the group were about to undertake one of their most dangerous operations.
I might message him on a Tuesday and I'd hear on a Thursday or maybe a Friday. One day I'd text him and never got nothing back.
We'd just done this big counter-offensive and this was the actual last firefight we got into that day. We were in Russian territory. The Russians did not know we were in their territory. One of my friends, Australian friend, he was digging a trench, so I've just sat on the edge of the trench. You know when you get that feeling someone's behind you. I looked behind me, surely enough, there was someone there. It was only 10 metres away from me. Looking all confused, just like that. Like, what are these guys doing here? They're our guys.
He thought you were Russian?
Yeah, he thought we were, yeah. And that's when I just seen his face change. I seen he was planning something. He'd seen every single one of us. He had time to see everything. He looked around, made eye contact with me, made eye contact with Jed, everyone behind us. I was getting screamed at behind me, make sure it's not friendly, make sure it's not friendly. So at this point, I would put your gun down, put your gun down. Dropped to the floor, put raised his gun. So I shot him 6 times.
But the Russian soldier had already fired his own shots.
I just remember looking, shouting back, Jed's down, and then looking, Jed's dead. And then I heard behind me, Craig's dead.
It was the 25th of August that I found out that he'd been shot. Crushed me.
After that firefight, I just looked down, and I'll be honest, I cried. I cried. Not because I'm scared, just how, seeing it up close and personal, how you're talking with someone, having a laugh with someone, and the life just gone within a click of the fingers.
The police come to my dad's and yeah, they told us. I didn't think he was going to go to the front line. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought he was going to be helping, but away from the front line.
I think most people die of cancer or common illness, not being shot out at war. I don't know, I just didn't believe it, it didn't feel real.
Friends and family said their final goodbyes.
It was heartbreaking, but he got the send-off that he deserved. Like he said, no one else would understand. He's got to do it for his own reasons, and that's what he's done. Same as a lot of people. They feel like they can make a big difference, which they are. He was happy, and got to be happy for him. your brother's a hero. But yeah, still don't bring him back though.
It's hard, and my children miss him.
Pikey and Jed, we're never going to forget them.
Jed, Pikey, Ninja, Frenchie, think about them every day, every day. They'll always be remembered by me, and they'll be remembered for very good people, what they were.
Do you think the British volunteers out there actually make a difference to the overall war effort?
Yeah, big time as well. It's like the Ukrainian SEALs, and like, it makes them feel like they're not alone.
I'm proud of what I've achieved. I'm proud of the guys that we were out there with. We did a lot of good. We took a lot of ground.
It's impossible to know the exact number of British volunteers in Ukraine, as there's now a number of battalions that accept soldiers from abroad.
But Ukraine's International Legion says there continues to be a steady stream of volunteers willing to join the fight, and that the UK is still one of the most represented countries within its ranks.
I would never tell anyone to go out and do what I've done. I believe I've saved a few lives, and I'm a better person for what I've done.
A lot of people are happy sat watching it on the news and saying, oh, I'd go if I didn't have this, if I didn't have that. I think I had a good job, I had my own house, give it all up.
Some people say you're crazy.
People call us crazy, people call us crazy.
James D and Leeds, go back to Ukraine. We're ready for it. Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraine.
What is it about it that draws people back?
I think it's the brotherhood. Civilians don't understand it.
I've got a purpose in life out there. I'm happy, I've got my friends, and I've got a purpose.
I'm connected up to the machines, and I'm in very, very good hands.
Was it worth it?
I'd do it all again now, even knowing my outcome. And that's probably the fact that I was doing something that I loved and believed in.
He found what he'd always been searching for.
From the photos I've seen, he looked like he was happy.
But I wish we could have kept him here.
It's not that we love killing or we love bloodshed. It's because in those situations, humanity really does shine through.